taking a look at this beautiful trophy of which the players will be competing for this weekend. Only one person can be the global final champion. Will it be a person that wins the lion's share of the prize pool with phenomenal plays? That was terrible. Let's take a look at the bracket real quick of what's happened so far today at BlizzCon. Day number 1, we had VKLiooon take down Tom 60221. 229, excuse me. He got a little downgraded according to my size. And we have Feno that was able to take down Bloodyface in the winners match of the first match of Group B. And with that, let's go ahead and introduce our players for our next best of 3, the final one to determine who can get the semifinal spot for day number 2. Our first player from China, please welcome to the stage, VKLiooon. And their opponents, representing Europe and Greece, as well as T1, please welcome Feno. Please shake hands. And the good lucks have been dropped. Let's get this winners match number 2 underway.
This is going to be really exciting, Casper. Today, or this match, we're going to determine the second of 4 players to make it to the top 4 and who is going to be sent to the deciders match tomorrow.
Yes, it's a big deal for both players here. They have the chance now to take the winners bracket and just make it to the top 4. Also, a big factor that we haven't really talked too much about is that the top 4 is actually best of 5. And that kind of changes up a lot in this format, I think. What do you think, Gavin?
No, I agree with you. I mean, sometimes decks that are really weak in best of 5s get protected in best of 3 because you can just avoid queuing them. But what I want to talk about is actually just Lion's dominating performance all the way up to this point, and the fact that China is already 3-0 at BlizzCon at the Global Finals, and they show no signs of stopping. Lion got a top 4, a top 2 at the Gold Series Opens, which is equivalent to getting a top 4 and a second at a Master Tour, which is insane. That is so cool. The consistency there in going 7-0 in the Gold Series Finals to get here. That's like one of the most dominant tournament runs I have ever seen in Hearthstone.
Yes, that's an incredible performance. On the other side, we still have Feno, though. One of the best competitors in Europe the last couple of years now, and I really don't think Feno is going to let it be easy for Lion.
Vice versa as well. Lion has been playing fantastically. It's the first time that I've actually seen her play, but she's been killing it. Feno has also been playing really well. That Rogue versus Warrior game was a sight to behold.
Yes, both players are extremely powerful, and it's going to be a good one, Galen, I think.
Yeah, so it looks like we have Shaman protected from both sides. Feno banned Lion's Priest, and Lion banned Feno's Warrior, and it's going to be a Shaman versus Shaman round 1, which we've seen a lot of so far this tournament. I think this is the 4th one.
Yeah, this is the 4th Shaman mirror to be an opening game, actually, Galen. And it's only the 4th Shaman mirror also. But it's pretty insane, and it speaks to the power of Shaman. A lot of people are protecting it, and a lot of people are prioritizing queuing it first, I imagine, because they think that it has a lot of favorable matchups, and that they want to just start with a safe pick.
We saw a lot of this personally in Grandmasters Season 2 when the Conquest Shield phase was really brought to light. When Priest was the best deck in the format, people would protect Priest and queue Priest. Now, Shaman is considered the best, and we see Feno protecting his token Shaman playing it round 1.
Yes, and I don't really think that either of the players have a really good response to this first queue Shaman either, so it just makes a lot of sense for both players to queue the Shaman first.
Yeah, play your best deck, try to get the win here. Makes a lot of sense. Small differences in Lion versus Feno's list. Feno has a Stormbringer, Lion does not. Besides that, they're pretty similar. Lion does have a Lightning Storm in her deck, which is pretty powerful, I would say, against everything that is not specifically Soul of the Murlocs.
Yes, a bit recently, Feno's teammate Board Control piloted a double Lightning Storm list to pretty high legend finish last season.
Yeah, a lot of times Evolved Shaman tries to get there with middle-sized boards of lots of middle-sized minions, and Lightning Storm half of the time is really good versus that, and half the time is really bad for the stat. Because
we see a very good combination already for Lion with Spirit of the Frog and Mogu Flesh
Yeah,
Shaper.
both of those are really powerful in this matchup, but she did pick up double Bloodlust, which are like 2 pretty weak cards unless you already have a solid board lead.
Yeah, but Fino's hand isn't very much doing anything either so far, but
So
it explodes really fast in this matchup if you manage to pick up the right pieces.
Let's talk about this matchup and like what it exemplifies among pro players. Because in Hearthstone, it feels like a lot of games, like if you're playing Arena in Hearthstone, a lot of games are just about playing your minions on curve. You want to spend all your mana each turn, develop a lot of stuff, and try to win board that way. But it seems like among the best players in the world, the best decks, there's actually like a different mechanic involved here where players try to go for swing turns. What that means is when your opponent develops on board, you have cards that punish that. Cards like Mogu Flesh Shaper, where if they play a lot of minions, you play Mogu Flesh Shaper, kill one of them, evolve it, and suddenly you're ahead. So it seems like a lot of games are about setting up this position where if your opponent tries to extend onto the board, they'll get really punished. And if they don't, then they're just going to lose because now they don't have any tempo. And there's even a next level to that with stuff like Spirit of the Frog, which says, hey, if you just give me the turn, I'm going to play the Spirit of the Frog that you can't answer. And if you don't answer that, I'm going to just get a lot of value out of extra spells, extra minions in play, you know, something like Voltaic Burst, which summon 2 1/1s into Soul of the Murlocs. So it seems like this has the next level and the next level all wrapped in one.
Yeah, this is definitely a very swingy matchup, and having the powerful tempo turn often after your opponent has a tempo turn also is super important.
Wow.
That's why I think that the player on coin is very favorable in the matchup, because playing the Spirit of the Frog second is actually a very positive thing, because you are able to do the swing turn after your opponent already did their power turn.
Yeah, I mean, does that lead to a world where Fino would forgo playing the Spirit of the Frog? Because we were just talking about this, where it seems like the person who plays Spirit of the Frog second is at a huge advantage.
Yes, but when the other player does not have the Spirit of the Frog, you really want to get the Spirit of the Frog in play.
Okay.
But in this specific scenario Fino is in right now, the Spirit of the Frog doesn't really represent anything, so it might be that he ends up leading to the conclusion that he wants to wait with it.
Yeah, we could easily see Fino foregoing a Spirit of the Frog here.
I'm very interested to see how Fino actually pilots his hand, because it's not really doing too much right now.
It seems like he's still missing a couple critical cards. Stuff like Zap seems really good in this hand. A Desert Hare would obviously be a great pickup with that evolve. But right now, it seems like Fino is just on a game plan of letting the game progress a bit. I think if he tries to win with this specific hand, it's not going to work out very well. So he's going to have to rely on a bit more cards from his deck.
Yeah, and we see Fino here deciding to take it a bit slower. Lion, though, picking up the Desert Hare.
She is so
potentially.
close. Look at her hand. It is one evolve away from just destroying Fino's hopes.
Destroying Gallon.
Literally destroying. We have Desert Hare, double Mogu Flesh Shaper. If this coin next turn picks up an evolve instead of a Voltaic Burst, we could just be seeing like the best possible turn in Hearthstone that you can imagine on turn 4.
Yeah, it could also pick up a Lightning Bolt, so it's not particularly
Yes,
likely to pick up the evolve, but if she manages to pick up the evolve, she is so ahead.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
We will really get to see the power of what this evolve shaman can do.
And I mean, there's other cards that she can pick up as well that lead to that spot. Stuff like Mutate, Zap, both give her extra chances at getting another evolve.
Yes, and Fino's still in a very, very difficult spot here. He has a lot of potentially good cards, but they don't really interact well with each other in the specific hand.
Yeah, it's all like he's got one piece of one combo and then one piece of another combo, and those two are really super powerful, but he just doesn't have the correct cards.
Yeah, so Fino kind of has to figure out what he wants to play for more. He wants to play for the potential of a Desert Hare top deck, or does he want to save that Thunderhead for more Overload type top decks?
Yeah, I mean, this is just really hard from Fino's perspective, I think. Thunderhead just makes sense. He has 4 mana to play it, but you have to think about what your opponent can do. And I mean, in Fino's mind, that's always what Mogu Flesh Shaper can do. And if this coin, even without the coin, honestly, double Mogu Flesh Shaper clearing up the 3/6 is just so powerful. That's Voltaic Burst. That is not Evolve.
That is not an evolve, yeah. So,
But this is still
Fino doesn't have to
really
leave
good.
the game yet. What do you think we see here from Lion?
Wealth of options, right? Thunderhead Voltaic Burst lets you summon 5 1/1s. You get to trade into a 1/1, play a Mogu Flesh Shaper, trade into the 3/6, play another Mogu Flesh Shaper, and clear the board that way. You end up with a full board in play. This also makes a lot of sense. You don't even need the Thunderhead in play to go for the Soul of the Murlocs, right?
I do still believe that it is possible for Fino to swing this back. He has the Evolve in hand, and he could potentially set up the Spirit of the Frog and into a Desert top deck. It could just be able to...
I mean, he's got a one-mana Sea Giant in hand right now.
Yeah. And Lion also decided to overload herself this turn, so she can't play the Bloodlust next turn.
I don't think that's a big concern. I think she has board lead, and she will continue to have board lead, and not being able to Bloodlust next turn isn't that big a deal.
I think I said wrong. She's not overloaded, right?
No, she is overloaded by 1. She played a Voltaic Burst.
Oh, correct.
Voltaic Burst summons 2 1/1s with Rush that are elementals and has Overload 1. It's really powerful in this deck because of Thunderhead working super well with it, and just general the game plan of the deck.
Yeah, I think as Fino here, we want to try to board lock Lion, so she can't do anything more. Potentially play a Vicina.
So are you thinking Lightning Bolting one Mogu Flesh Shaper, killing another Mogu Flesh Shaper, and then just like leaving out the board?
Yeah, and hopefully maybe draw the Desert Hare for next turn with the Desert Hare, Evolve, and the Sea Giant to come back on
So
board.
it seems like you want to play Spirit of the Frog first, Lightning Bolt, try to cycle through the deck, get that Desert Hare. Okay, makes a lot of sense. I think that Fino doesn't have that many ways of winning this game from this spot, but the line that you suggested sounds like one of them.
There is little time.
We'll see what Fino concludes. Fino disagrees. He thinks that it's possible to still fight for the board, and values having the 8-8 on board here.
Does he open himself up to any more outs this way? Oh, Mutate is so clutch. This is a 0 mana give like plus, well, we'll see what happens, but it's like on average +5/+5. Draw a card. Wow. Well, that's actually not that good right now. Killing an 8/8, you don't really want to do that. And she didn't get an Evolve.
It's pretty good, but it's not exactly what he wanted. There's better things, but there's definitely also worse things.
I mean, like, this is still totally fine.
He also has a spell power totem. So,
I like this Lightning Storm a lot. It just denies Fino any chance of getting back that Spirit of the Frog. Yes, she forgoes a Bloodlust for next turn, but she's just locking Fino out of the game. So this is something that really good players do all the time.
Especially with this Walking Fountain now. I just think she can like totally control the board, and doing it this way just seems like by far the most safe.
This is something that really good players do all the time, and it's often something that a lot of people miss, which is that if you have a line that wins 100% of the time but takes a lot longer, that's better than a line that wins 90% of the time but wins a lot quicker. She could have left herself the mana open to play a Bloodlust, but that would mean Fino has a Spirit of the Frog for next turn. Any iteration where Fino wins this game involves that Spirit of the Frog sticking, right? So forgo the Bloodlust, even though it's really appetizing. Like, that was an insane Bloodlust. You have 6 minions in play, 7 with the minion that you traded off, but recognizing, hey, Lightning Storm here is just way better.
Yeah, I also think that discussion is a very interesting topic in general, and I think Lion is on the correct side of that discussion this time around, and I think this is the higher way to win the game.
Absolutely.
So Lion is struggling a bit here with having the board being kind of locked.
I mean, it's struggling in the sense that she has a wealth of options, and she's so far ahead that...
Yeah.
I'm not feeling too bad for her right now on her ace. I'm not feeling too bad for her right now.
Well, she's just still trying to just optimize every single percent here, not letting Fino get any chance of getting back.
I think it's important, even games like this, where there's really not much you could do to lose yourself the game. Playing as perfectly as she is right now is so important.
Yes. Also, just don't lose too much focus. There's still another game, and just keep on being 100% focused all the time.
Yeah. Don't relax.
Really important.
Fino has the option to evolve a 2-drop, but that's not going to do anything for him.
Yeah. So I think that Fino will probably tap out of this game. Looking at the next possible matchups, Lion still has the Reno Hunter and the Malay Druid, which is 2 decks we haven't seen so far.
She has a very interesting lineup. Yes, she has the Evolved Shaman and Common Priest that are pretty much staples of this format, but I'd love to see Melee Druid. We haven't really seen that in the format for quite a while, honestly.
Yeah, I also think it will be very exciting to see what deck she chooses to play and how Fino will respond to it.
Well,
Because these decks are not very usual in the tournament.
What's interesting about Fino's lineup is that I feel like Druid is really powerful versus some of the decks that Fino has, and then really weak versus others. So, for example, I think Druid versus Rogue is very Druid favorite. Druid just has the tools to fight back against what the Rogue does. Rogue doesn't really develop on board super early or early enough to actually contest the Druid. Line's gonna take it with that Bloodlust.
Yes. And China looking really good, Galen.
They could be in a position to go 4-0 day one.
4-0, that's super impressive and really showing a statement out there.
Yeah, I mean, and this is coming off of a dominant tournament performance, so it just keeps going, man. Just keeps going.
So, what do you think the matchup is going to be now? What do you think Fino responds to this Druid Hunter is going to be?
Well, for me, I'm pretty biased when it comes to deck selection. I actually made a tweet earlier about liking Vendetta Rogue so much, and specifically Shark Vendetta Rogue so much, that I really want to see as many games of that as possible. So from Fino's side, I hope he cues Rogue. I'd like to see either Hunter or Druid, honestly.
Yeah, we also saw a very impressive performance by Fino on his Rogue earlier today, so maybe we'll just keep up, and he's probably pretty confident with the deck at this point, so...
Absolutely.
I can definitely see him queuing Rogue.
He's been playing a version of the deck since like Season 1. Let's go to a quick break, but stick with us. We have an exciting match coming up, Game 2 between Lion and Fino.
BlizzCon 2019 is brought to you by T-Mobile. Their newest signal goes farther than ever, and it's built 5G ready. MSI, True Gaming. Intel, the official CPU partner of BlizzCon. And by HyperX, we're all gamers.
My name is Christos Tsakopoulos and I go by Fino. BlizzCon has always been kind of like my goal since, not actually just BlizzCon, but qualifying to Worlds has always been what I really wanted to do in Hearthstone. This is that tournament to win, right? So yeah, it means everything. It's every player's dream. I think it was 4 years ago. I didn't even have a beta key. I remember like a friend of mine had it, and he used to like come by and we'd play together. And then at some point I was like so addicted to it and I liked it so much that I took over and I was playing Arena all the time, and it was just, I never expected I would be doing what I'm doing today. 2016 summer, I think. It was my first tournament. I didn't really have much expectations. I knew I was kind of good at the game, but I never thought I would be able to get top 8. Yeah, after that I'm like, well, maybe I'm really good and maybe I should, you know, try to go professional in this. I had a lot of friends and people who actually like believed in me, and that really helped me to, you know, actually try to go for it. When I qualified in Season 1, it was a stressful couple of days because I'm playing with like the best players, in my opinion, in Europe at the point. It was really hard. I had no expectations, but you know, everyone, like a lot of my friends were like, just, you know, just take it easy, relax, and like try to not stress yourself. I think that really helped me become better, that I just try to focus on the game and just have fun. Ignore like the prize pool, ignore that like you're in the finals, and just try to play your best game. I think that's very important. It feels very special to me to be the one that qualified from Europe. I try to not put expectations on myself, but for this one, it's like the big one, you know, it's like probably the best chance I ever get to become the world champion. So I'm definitely gonna try my best. If I play well, I think I have a very good shot.
Welcome back to the Hearthstone Global Finals. The match between Lion and Feno is currently underway. Lion is up 1-0 versus Feno after making quick work of him in the Evolved Shaman mirror. We will be having Lion on the Highlander Hunter versus Feno's Combo Priest, which is actually a pretty close matchup. I think that Lion is on a deck that is much better at beating Priest than the normal Highlander Hunter. We've been seeing some secret packages in Highlander Hunter, which I think is really good against Priest, and some decks without that, but Lion hasn't opted to include that secret package.
Yes, isn't this even the first Highlander appearance we see so far in the tournament?
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. We haven't actually had a chance to see a Highlander deck yet, even though they've made up a large portion of ladder and a large portion of previous metas.
Yeah, I believe both Surrender and Lee has the Highlander Paladin, but neither has actually played it yet. But in this specific matchup, I think that the Hunter has a lot of great tools. All the Seekers are very annoying for Priest to deal with, and a lot of the time you end up in situations where you have to choose what you can play around and what you can't play around. At the same time, you also have the power of Zephyrs, and Zephyrs always being able to give pretty valuable cards when it comes to just dealing with the Priest board.
Other things to talk about are Deadly Shot and Spellbreaker, both powerful tools. She does have a lot of late game in the form of Ragnaros called the Wild Soul Jin, but if she finds that early game, I think Priest can struggle. Meanwhile, though, Priest also has a lot of ways of fighting back against Hunter. If Feno just decides to disrespect his secret, and it's not a freezing trap or a sniper, etc., that could spell really bad news for the Hunter. If Feno gets the initial read on what the secrets are.
I think it's definitely a very close matchup, and a lot of the time it just depends how fast the Priest can get out in early game and how well the Priest manages to play around the secrets, and also manage to make a decision on how favored am I in this position and can I play around this.
How hard do you find it to play around the secrets? Do you, like, when you're playing against someone that you know is also good at the game, like this match happening right now, and your opponent plays a random secret, how much do you respect that?
It is usually really hard because a lot of the time, at least with good players, they can represent secrets by doing something that clearly indicates that you have a secret while they don't even have that secret. So it can get very confusing at points, and I think it's really hard to be able to find a correct play.
Another thing that I think really good players run into with secrets, it's a big problem for them, is that when you want to be the best, you want to win every single game possible. That means locking out 100% won scenarios as soon as possible. Against secrets, a lot of times you can't do that. You have to take edges. You can't really play around everything, and that actually makes people like cringe and
realizing that you can't play around a secret is a very big loss, right? Like you want to beat everything, and I think a lot of players, as you mentioned, gets into that trap and thinks that they can't beat everything, but in reality, you just can't beat everything.
Yeah.
Hey, I got you.
I think we're actually going to see this game. Alina is going to play an explosive trap, most likely, based on the fact that it lets her deal with the 1-2 on board and threaten the secrets. And that could spell disaster for Feno if he doesn't play around it, or if he tries too hard to play around it.
Well, explosive trap is the worst secret here for Lion. But Feno doesn't know it's explosive trap, so it's going to be very interesting to see how Feno decides to play around this, because there's so many secrets that want Feno to do entirely different things.
Now, there are a couple of things here that are like pretty high level in terms of like game sense. One of them being is that Lion did not keep this secret. It was something that she got after the mulligan phase. So Feno, that could be any secret in the game. You know, from Feno's perspective, it could be that Lion just only has that as her play, right? She only has one secret. She's going to play that secret, kill the 1-2.
Yeah.
All that means is that it's less likely to be something like pressure plate, for example.
So what would you say is a secret that Feno just can't beat right now?
The secret that Feno, freezing trap for sure.
Yeah. So I don't think that Feno can actually make the player to afford to play around freezing trap.
Absolutely
that seems extremely ambitious.
Yeah.
So knowing that we can't beat freezing trap, what would you do?
It's still really hard, right? There's a couple plays here. Feno could elect to try to kill the Secret Keeper. He could use his hero power to heal the Secret Keeper up to a 2-3, and then get +2 attack on his Light Warden, trade in. That is such good news for Feno, the fact that that wasn't a freezing trap.
Yeah, and Fino here recognizing that the same that we concluded, he can't beat the freezing trap.
That is such a good draw for Lion. That's the best 3-drop that she could play right now. Because not only did she threaten a secret, now Fino has to do the exact same thing he did last turn, which is
now just
entirely
2 secrets, Gallon.
Yeah, and you still don't know that it's explosive. It could easily be a pressure plate.
It could be a snipe, it could be a pressure plate, and it could be an explosive trap. And now there's another secret that can also be the freezing and the snake trap.
Yep, absolutely. Pressure plate, let's break it down real quick, is a trap that lets you, when your opponent plays a spell, you kill a random one of their minions. So that's just important to know. That's something that Fino has to think about for these upcoming turns.
Yeah, and I think that right now the 100 secrets are all so different and represent entirely different things. One secret we didn't even mention is red trap, which Lion also runs. And that is a secret that makes it very hard for Fino in the later game to play +3 cards, because it's just devastating when a 6/6 drops on the board.
It's definitely on Fino's mind. I don't think it's something that he's worried about right now. Rat Trap is just going to be kind of a non-factor, similar to Explosive Trap, I think, for the next couple turns.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Also, red trap is also a secret that Lion could have in the early game that Fino also factors in, that it's less likely to be some of the relevant secrets.
It's just so early in the game that you play around it because you can't really play into it. Fino stuck with another fairly difficult turn, I would say. All of these are like marginal benefits, but when it's marginal things, they always get so amplified on a stage like BlizzCon, where every single minor decision costs you potentially hundreds, if not thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars.
Yes, and I believe this secret could only be 3 different secrets at this point, right? It could only be the rat trap, explosive trap, or the pressure plate. So
I mean, from Fino's perspective, that's really good. His game plan right now does not play into any of those. You know, maybe he forgoes an attack with the 5/2. Oh well, you lost 5 damage, but you managed to keep a light warden around.
extremely big draw here from Lion.
Oh,
picking up the
so
Eagle Horn bow, managing to deal in his life. Extremely big.
I see a dark future.
It's the best card that Fino can have right now. His hand is pretty dead besides that.
Yeah, but Lion doesn't have a clean answer to this Amit, and might get a bit difficult. I think she will probably end up just trying to get the Amit lower health total, so the Amit doesn't get too much value this turn.
How do you feel about playing 2 1/1s here? Not trading them in, just playing them as 2 1/1s.
I think it's a very, very interesting decision whether or not you're supposed to attack the Amit here. And in case you attack it, how much do you attack it?
So you like the 1/1s, but whether you attack or not, I agree with you. I think tempo is really what matters in these kinds of matchups, specifically against Priest. Board is key. So playing the 1/1s, I think, is fairly standard. But the attack itself is actually really hard, because stuff like Neferset Ritualist can really punish this.
Yeah, also, Fino currently doesn't know if this is pressure play, correct?
Yes.
So if we make the Amit 2 health, Fino's going to be terrified of playing Circle of Healing.
Sure.
So that's kind of a thing you also have to factor in, I think. And just making the Amit 2 health is just so good versus a lot of hands that don't include any heal. Makes Fino's turn way more awkward.
If Fino knew that this was an explosive trap, his turn could be explosive. But he doesn't know that, so he has to play around the pressure plate as well as the explosive trap right now.
Well, it depends though. Fino can reach the conclusion here that pressure plate, to be honest, seems pretty hard to beat. Maybe the only secret we can beat is the explosive trap, so we should play around that.
That's fair. At the same time, though, do you ever have any consideration towards Unleash the Beast? I'm agreeing with you here. At the same time, Unleash the Beast is pretty scary.
That was a scary one too.
Oh, this is going to spell bad news for Fino, I think. This
Well, he doesn't know about the Unleash the Beast.
Of course not.
He's already seen the Eagle Horn bow, so he kind of has to take risks at this point. So I can definitely.
Was
see
there a
where
better
Fino's
way to
coming
take it? That's all I'm saying. Was there a better way to take it? If you could have extra arms first, gotten it up to an extra 2 health, go face against the explosive trap, then Neferset Ritualist. It gets it out of range of that Unleash the Beast plus Snip Snap to deal 7 damage.
Yes, that would have played better around the Unleashed Beast specifically, but it would have still left the Amit vulnerable to Spellbreaker or Zephyrus, but less vulnerable, right? Because it has 4 attack then, and you don't really have that clean of an answer to that.
I'm really surprised that Fenomeno decided to make a 4-5 here. It seems like he already knows about the Unleash the Beast, and he doesn't have a Wild Pyromancer in hand. Maybe he's playing towards that out, but he could have just saved it for this next turn to do
The end begins.
Deficit Ritualist, more arms into Divine Spirit, for example.
Yeah, and
This is looking pretty
starting
rough.
to look really rough for Fenomeno
Yeah.
now.
Lion picked up a huge value engine and tempo engine in Subject 9. She will be able to get a freezing trap with that and pretty much lock Fino's hopes of hitting the face kind of out. Spellbreaker as well and Call of the Wild. These are all powerful tools at this stage in the game. They're not great cards early, but it's not early, so they're just really good.
Yeah, I see Fino having a very, very hard time coming back from this point. Lion just has to follow up now for everything, and she also gets to choose what secret to play here, which is incredibly strong. You can just play the freezing trap and lock out the board into the Call of the Wild turn.
She also put pressure plate and lock out the board in this exact same way.
I think she will go for the freezing trap though, because it might feel a bit more safe.
At a certain point.
Everything.
Yeah, you have a Spellbreaker in hand. You don't really worry about them making a big minion with that play, so why not just play the freezing trap, avoid any chance. I think Pressure Plate also does the same thing. I wouldn't falter
Yeah, I
either
can't
way.
see either of them really.
Pressure Plate, it's just not gonna. There's like one very specific hand where that works, and it's.
So realistically, the only way we lose, I think, is Fino managing to pick up Bomb Samdi and generating a lot of value from that,
Yes.
right? So
Bomb Samdi
what
is
do you
the
think is
way.
the best play versus that?
Quickly. Job done.
That's interesting. Snake Trap.
Snake Trap? I think Snake Trap had a potential to lose with a very specific amount of cards, right?
Power Word Shield into Divine Spirit, Inner Fire. There was a 4-card combo, and that was the entire 4 cards in his hand. But theoretically, from Lion's perspective, that could happen.
Yeah, it's interesting.
That's really unlikely, though. That's like super unlikely.
I think I would have probably liked to see the freezing trap or the pressure plate more, just to play around that super fresh scenario, but it shouldn't matter too much.
With Zephyrus, and this is just looking.
Yeah, it's looking very brutal now.
There's just no way to come back from this. The Zephyrus next turn is just going to lock out the game. Fino does not get anything. Lion is going to be the second player and the second Chinese player to make it to the top 4.
Correct. Second Chinese representative in top 4 now, and China looking great for top 4. They're both first seeds out of the group also.
Yeah. Just continuing
Really
this
impressive.
impeccable streak that she's had ever since the Gold Series final with a 7-0 performance. That's ridiculous. That game was ridiculous. I don't know. Fino, on the other hand, he goes down to the deciders match. He's still in the tournament. He will be playing against the winner of, I believe, Bloodyface and Tom 60229.
Yes, you will be playing tomorrow versus the winner,
Yes,
correct?
yes, they will be playing tomorrow in the decider match. But we still have the elimination match to happen before that can happen. We still
Yeah,
have
and it
to
will be
determine the winner.
super interesting now to see who is going to challenge China in the top 4, because it's looking really hard.
Yeah, I mean, NA right now, they're both 0-1. EU just fell by 1 point to the deciders match. Hopefully, I'm rooting for NA here, so hopefully PNC and Bloodyface can make it out, but you never know.
Yeah, we'll see.
Just like Lee said, I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know either, so we'll definitely see.
There is no script, believe it or not. All right, let's take a
so
look
we
at
see that
yeah.
Tom versus Bloodyface is going to face up later today. I believe that we are also casting that one.
Yep. And you know, there's actually an interesting thing about Tom, but we can actually get that tomorrow if Surrender makes it to day 2. But let's throw to Frodan as he has a winner's interview with Lion.
We have our second player through to the semifinals, and it is the second member of the Chinese representatives. It's Lion. Let's give it up for Lion, who's made it to day number 2. Exemplary performance, not dropping a single game on her way through the groups. I gotta ask, how is she feeling right now?
第一个问题是先问你现在感觉如何？
感觉很激动，然后感觉有点像做梦一样。今天真的非常顺利。
I'm very excited. At the same time, it's like dreaming about the whole thing's happening. Yes, today is very successful day.
Absolutely. Today is a very successful day. Every player here is a killer. And yet China is the one that's undefeated. Is there a secret? 8-2 in game record today. How are they doing it?
今天两位中国选手的表现都很好，然后现在打到现在已经是8-2的成绩了。你们有任何的秘密吗？在这个赛事上面？
因为其实国服今年的竞争是很激烈的，所以我们都练习的非常多。然后，主要应该是练习量吧。
So this year, the China scene is very competitive. So we have to practice very hard in order to achieve a very good result.
Great. Practice makes perfect. Makes sense to me. The last question that I want to ask you is, a lot of people are highlighting the fact that it's fantastic to have a woman on here on the stage at BlizzCon competing, as we've seen in the past with Patra, as we've seen in the past with Baiza. All these fans are cheering for you right now. What do you have to say to them?
一直以来呢，在卢斯的舞台上面都是比较少的女生可以踏上这个舞台。那这次以女生的身份可以踏上这个舞台，你有什么感觉呢？
我相信会有越来越多的女选手出现在这里，然后我也希望所有喜欢炉石的女选手，反正自信一点，然后对。
So I believe there's more female players gonna be showed up in the scene, and I hope that all the female Hearthstone players be confident yourself.
That's an amazing message. All the women out there in the world, watch what Lion's doing. It's just the beginning. And I think that's a great message and a note to end on. With that, let's send it back over to our casters.
That is such a great story. The performance here is just impeccable from a lot of these players, but especially China. Lion and Lee find themselves in the top 4, and it's really with good plays, man.
Yes, and I believe this China system is very brutal also. They have a ton of different tournaments that they have to go through, and also they have the ladder, which is super competitive.
I mean, just to get to this spot, they have to win like double the amount of games that people from the Grandmasters have to, which is like, it's insane. That's so many. Lion with a great performance. The Evolved Shaman game, just locking it out, knowing exactly when to time that Bloodlust. I think it really just shows patience. It shows that she's, even if she's stressed, it's not showing on the big stage. But
yeah, it's definitely going to be super exciting to see both Lee and Lion now in the BO5 stage tomorrow. And I'll also see who is going to be up there and challenge.
Yeah, but for now, the next match will be PNC versus Casey, and that will be Sottle and Singh bringing you the action. So let's go to a quick break, but stay with us. We have 2 more fantastic matches of Hearthstone left for today.
BlizzCon 2019 is brought to you by T-Mobile. Their newest signal goes farther than ever, and it's built 5G ready. MSI, True Gaming. Intel, the official CPU partner of BlizzCon. And by HyperX. We're all gamers.